Democrats had themselves a pretty good show this week. The Democratic National Convention looked pretty good on TV. Thing is, it's not clear how much this will really help them. Betting markets during the DNC went from favoring a Kamala Harris victory to favoring a Donald Trump victory because really it's not clear what this convention achieved. Democrats managed to unify themselves simply by getting rid of Joe Biden and substituting in Kamala Harris as the best they could do. The convention went with that. They tried to pretend that the last 3.5 years hadn't happened. They started with Joe on the opening night, shuffling him off, having him sort of anoint Kamala again, except his speech didn't really say much about her except that she'd helped him somehow as vice president. But she still owns the Biden record. They tried to forget that. They didn't talk about the border. They barely talked about the economy all week. The economy, jobs, the border, those are voters' top issues. Democrats offered nothing new on that. They didn't even talk about the economic plan Kamala Harris had released just before the convention, with its $2 trillion in new spending and its $5 trillion in new taxes. What we got this week was lots of praise of Kamala, but no specifics on anything she'd ever done. Or not much. Oh, when she was Attorney General of California, she made corporations pay some money. But that's what attorney generals do for big states. We didn't hear anything she'd actually achieved as vice president, except maybe rallied people against abortion restrictions. What we got all week was endless Trump bashing, much of it based on fiction, and lots of talk about abortion, also based on fiction. Trump has said he wants to leave it to the states. He thinks states should have exceptions for rape and incest and so on. He supports IVF, but the Democrats keep insisting he has a secret plan to somehow ban abortion nationally, which is nonsense. They also keep lying about Project 2025 as another Trump plan for his new term when he's disavowed it. They just don't care about any facts at all. They also give us a bizarre and scary redefinition of freedom, which they keep waving about, but it's freedom from this or that, which means bigger government, which again takes us back to Kamala's $2 trillion in new spending. Yet it was Biden-Harris spending that triggered record inflation. If she actually gets the agenda she claims she wants to pass, it'll mean more inflation right back up, just as Democratic economists warned when Biden started his spending spree. We also had this weird obsession with Republicans' wealth, with Trump's wealth, even though Oprah Winfrey actually dared to question wealth when she's a self-made billionaire. Oh, and Illinois' Governor J.B. Pritzker followed Bernie Sanders' denunciation of wealth by bragging about his own billions, which incidentally are fundamentally inherited. It was just nuts all week. Michelle Obama also dinged Trump for having inherited wealth, even though he turned that into a far bigger fortune. Yet they're setting their kids up with $10 million in trust funds. Democrats just painted a weird world where the last 3.5 years didn't happen. They're running against Trump as if he's the incumbent because they don't want to talk about what their policies have done to the country. It's as if somehow that's on Trump. They keep talking about a new way forward. They won't go back. But most Americans would love to go back to the Trump economy before COVID. They didn't even really want to talk about COVID much either. They certainly didn't want to talk about vaccine mandates when they talked about the right to control your own body. Tim Walz did well in his speech, which contained a really touching moment with his neurodivergent son tearing up that his dad was speaking. I think Republicans and conservatives are wrong to slam that, just as Democrats are wrong to obsess about Barron Trump. Leave the kids alone. Anyway, we're out of the convention, and now Kamala is still faced with the issue that she hasn't really introduced herself to the nation. All we've gotten are glossy, vague promises and teleprompter speeches. She's going to have to face the press sooner or later. And then the question is, can she speak spontaneously? America has its doubts, and it should.